Hang on, is that who I think it is?
No lift in there.
There's no lift. It's looking good. Sam and James are actually down in London. I got some wicked news. That shoot's now at risk of not happening. We have a exciting delivery this morning. Morning, welcome to episode 10 of our vlog. I can't believe 10 weeks already. That is nuts. Obviously, as you can tell, finally got the car rig sorted. This vlog this week, we're gonna try to test the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. As you saw in last week's vlog, I received it last week, used it a little bit, especially during our Snowdonia hike on the weekend when it wasn't raining. But yeah, this week I'm gonna give it a proper try and see what it's made of, see how it's good, see what it's good for rather. And I think this use in particular is pretty awesome. Anyway, getting into this week, it is indeed Tuesday. Yes, I had yesterday off. Myself and my partner, we went down somewhere in Southend to get our dogs some training, which was fun. They had a wild day, and they usually get up when I get up, and you know, they expect their dinner. But no, they were zonked out, they were completely KO'd. So yeah, it was a good day, learned some cool tricks, and hopefully we can get our dogs a little bit more trained after that, because they're just very anxious dogs, and they can be a bit scared of other dogs when it comes to walking. I think there's a part of that is to do with COVID and sort of being raised during a period of time where they couldn't socialise as much. But anyway, getting into this week, currently driving in, it's just after 7 a.m, so a little bit later than usual for me. It is actually snowing in November. I mean, obviously that's amazing, it's awesome. But I didn't expect it so soon, so I'm trying to get to the office. No, I will get to the office before everybody else because I want to put loads of salt down. Where our office is on this sort of farmyard, it honestly becomes an ice rink. It's so slippery. Today is a massive catch-up day. Last week, Wednesday, Thursday, I was locked off on shoots, and then Friday I worked from home because I had such a huge to-do list to get through following those 2 days on set. So I stayed at home, got my head down, no distractions, cracked on. Then Saturday was Snowdon. Oh my God. I mean, if you saw the vlog, you would have seen, I found it so hard. I've never done anything like that. I've never done that long a period of sustained activity at that level of intensity ever. My legs were burning, man. And the weather was so cold. But anyway, my legs are feeling pretty good today, actually. Yesterday they were pretty sore. Today they're still a little bit sore. I'm gonna hold off on running just for a little bit longer. But in terms of our Movember target, my target is 60 kilometers for those of you that haven't seen yet. And so far, including the Snowdonia hike, we're now at 38 and a half kilometers, which is amazing. About 22 more to go. And I've got until next Saturday to complete that, which I think is achievable. Still relatively keen to see if I can push for a 10K before the end of this challenge, but we'll see. But otherwise this week, so tomorrow, myself, James and Sam are again on a shoot down in London for a new client in a new sector. We've had this shoot in the planning for a long time now. But yeah, it's a relatively simple shoot, I would say. It's one of those where there's just a little bit of time management and a little bit of additional thought that needs to go into how we structure our day. We have created an agenda and done all of our technical briefing and pre-production planning prior. Thursday, Friday, Sam and James are also back in London working with a client that you guys would have seen multiple times in this vlog before, where we shoot a lot of recipe content. This may be our last shoot of the year with this client. It is a nice shoot to end on if it is the last one, and we'll obviously be sure to visit that client hopefully in December to have like a end of year wrap up, nice lunch, stuff like that. I always think it's important, especially with customers that you work with on such a regular basis, to have regular reviews and, you know, just make sure that everyone's happy and, you know, begin to discuss, well, what can we do differently next year, and or what do you want to do next year? Is there anything new and exciting, you know? As you would have seen from our previous vlogs, we're currently trying to source new uniforms, and that very much continues this week as our new senior videographer joins us in 2 weeks. So I'm very keen to try and accelerate that today, try and sign off on a few of the garments that we want to just see in person and feel, just so we can try and get something embroidered and ready for when he joins us. And then Max and Ben are just crazy hard at work getting through all of the post-production. We are extremely busy now on the run up to Christmas, and I'm also actually on some edits this week, which is crazy to say. I don't often get put on edits anymore, to be honest. My focus is purely on the business or on shoots. Hang on, is that who I think it is? Hello. That's just one of my friends. We live in a similar area, but I never ever see him on his way to work. Funny. Anyway, that's it for this intro. What I'm going to do now is get to work, and get some salt on the ground. Forgot to pack gloves, but we're going with it. It looks like it's not really selling, but it's like sleety muck, and as soon as it gets like minus degrees, you just know that's going to turn into like a sheet of ice. I think we're almost there. All right, I think that'll do. That's all done. We've got the world's squeakiest and loudest bloody roller shutter here. Yeah, this Osmo's got like a funky face track feature. Like, it kind of, not sure how I feel about that one. Obviously, I'm coming from a background of vlogging exclusively using mirrorless cameras and the likes of similar to that, which has a different feel to it. One that I'm personally a big fan of, so I'm keen to see how this feels and see if it's something that I want to, you know, integrate into my arsenal of vlogging things. Oh no, where's the soap? Ah yes, we had a soap delivery. It's upstairs. All right, for now I'm gonna have to go to the toilets because this soap ran out last week. Bear with me. I've got wet hands. Clean hands. I'm actually quite warm now. My zip is stuck. Come on, you bugger. I'm stuck in my coat now. Anyway, I'm gonna get set up and get ready for the day, and I'll catch up with you once I'm back at my desk. Okay, I'm all caught up and back up to speed with everything that I've missed over the last few days. The email list was just horrendous, but we're at the bottom of it and it's good. Sent off 2 quotes today for 2 small but easy projects to fit in before the end of the year. But oddly, we've had a struck of slightly bad luck compared to the weeks that we've had prior to this one, where it's just been manic with new jobs. We had 2 shoots booked for next week across 3 days. One of them, we had a pre-production call set up with the client and the person that we're filming, and about 5 minutes beforehand, the call was cancelled because, for context, this is a case study style video. Our client's customer, for some reason, something's gone wrong. I don't know the details. That shoot's now at risk of not happening. And then the second one is, we had one massive job booked this month, which was 6 days of filming, but spread across 3 weeks, 2 days per week, and 2 of the days is next week. When I was going through the emails, I realized that the last set of days were always like a potential. But anyway, I just wanted to be certain, so I followed up. But that person, our point of contact, is on annual leave this week, and I contacted their colleague and they don't know anything about it either. I don't have a firm no, but in my head, the way that I'm thinking is, well, if it's not confirmed this week, it's unlikely it will happen. So that sucks, because that now means that next week there are no shoots, which has ruined our streak, because all the way up until Christmas we had shoots planned. And yeah, and I've gone back to our new potential clothing supplier because they came back with a bunch of options for us. So now we just wait for, most importantly, the price, and then if all is good there, he will order some samples so we can see them in person. Really excited about this. Like, I love repping Menace stuff. I know I'm not today, and I'm very excited to get new stuff in the new branding. Not a bad day at work. That is a very full car. My God. That's what happens when you need a lot of kit and a crew, and you're trying to navigate low roof underground London car parks. Underground 300 hours every day. Maybe it's like 500 a day. There we go, 2 trolleys on the go. I'm using the scratch mic, I hope it sounds alright, but that's all part of the review of this camera, I suppose. Cheers, Jimmy.
There's no lift in there.
There's no lift?
Oh, surely.
There's got to be a lift. Hang about.
Lift thing, but it's out of order. Is it this way then?
Lift.
Absolutely done it up.
We found the lift. Arrived on site. Chaps are just going toilet and getting checked in. But it's time to set up some cameras. Thankfully we've got 2 trolleys. So this is going to be like a dream.
Storage though.
This is our storage room.
Nice, sick.
Just making a little...
That looks way different on handy.
Well, out there?
Yeah.
Yes, so open. Yeah, set up the first set of interviews using the Canons. Yes, so he's going to let us know when they're ready for us to go in. So in the meantime, I think it's wise...
Just get a shot and everything and take the cameras off.
Yeah, I think it's wise you guys having the gimbal and the C300 at least at the ready just to grab them and go. It's very warm. I have to pin this on here instead.
So at the minute I'm just setting up the C300 with the 24-105 on, because in a minute me and James are going to go and run and get some B-roll of like the speakers and like the actual sessions going on. Whenever we come back from the B-roll, we're going to get straight into the interview. So we're going to find a frame. The lens that we will be using for the interview will be the 18-35 because it's a zoom f1.8. But just for now, we've got the 24-105 f4 because this is image stabilized for the B-roll in a minute.
Okay, so the guys are currently filming B-roll out in the main rooms and I'm still here just building our interview set. Final tweaks, all that sort of stuff. I'll walk you through it now. So on face value, it's a relatively standard interview set. We're gonna have 2 cameras, 1 static, 1 handheld, well, easy rig. But James is currently using that and he's also using the mic that will go in there. We've then got a 300X on a slightly warmer temperature, which we found recently is kind of nice for skin tones. Big grid, big softy, lovely. Bouncing off of this bounce here just to give us a nice soft look on the other side of the gentleman's face. Hair light up here. This bad boy is our spotlight, which is projecting some texture on the back wall, which kind of looks like as if daylight was spilling onto a puddle outside and then bouncing back up. Couple practical lamps here, and then finally to increase the overall brightness of our set, we have a P60 right here. But what I'll do is I'll overlay some footage now from our camera and I will flick on each light so you can kind of see how each of them impact the frame.
Is that on him?
Off on again?
Okay, off.
Hang on.
Yeah,
Oh.
that'll be on it now.
Is it too much? Can you change the intensity on there as well?
Yeah.
The temperature.
Hang on, I'm just trying to decide which.
What are we on, 5,000? Yeah, can you change this from 5,000 then?
Yeah, I know.
Kind of. I'm going to sit there.
5,000.
Yeah. How intensity wise, Sam? Just watch senses.
Setting up for interview number 2. It's looking good. First one went bang in. And there we are at the end of a very successful shoot. Unfortunately, couldn't show you any of the B-roll as we are under NDA and it is a top secret project for this client until it goes public. But now my responsibility is getting the carts packed. Keep calling them carts, trolleys packed to get them back in the car while the guys just finish off with the last bit of the B-roll now. Knackered, but a very good day. Couldn't be happier. There has been some wild things happening in the background today. We've had a new brief come in for an exciting project that needs to be done over the next couple of weeks and some major changes to some existing ongoing projects. But I'll fill you guys in on that tomorrow when I'm back at my desk because I need to go through those in more detail. For now, time to get packed with all the kit and get home. Good morning, welcome to Thursday. I got some wicked news. Me and Ben went to the gym this morning and I can officially say I've ran my first ever 10K. I'm super chuffed. I'll put the time and the chart and everything on screen now. I don't know if that's a fast time or a slow time, but it was what I was able to achieve. I think that the Snowdon trip has made it easier to run a longer distance. I just felt I had more energy and more like lung capacity to kind of hold up to that. So yeah, super happy. And that now brings me up to either 48 or 49 kilometers, which is awesome because obviously we've got about 9 days left to achieve the 60k kilometer target. But anyway, getting into today, I've got in this morning, written down on a lot of post-it notes, all of the things I need to catch up on and do. Whilst we were on shoot yesterday, 3 new jobs came in that I need to quote today. I need to send off a bunch of invoices. Oddly, we've had a couple of our XLR cables just break and die, which is no good. And I'm beginning to wonder if it's either the way we're handling them and we need to look at the way that we're wrapping cables and things like that, or we need to trial a different supplier or different brand of cable. These last ones have lasted around 10 months or so, which is fine. You know, cables are cheap to replace, and they are one of those things that you'll inevitably continue buying over and over again. But if I can find some that last a bit longer, that'd be cool. So that's one of my missions for today. We had one job that was booked in for next Monday sadly get postponed, which is a shame because that would have been a really awesome shoot to get in next week. But it is what it is, and at least the job is still happening and it's not cancelled. Otherwise, in post-production, Ben and Max have been chopping through this week like absolute madmen. I've just finished reviewing the first cut of the woodworking documentary that you saw us film last week. Really happy with that. Max has done a stellar job. It feels very, very like documentary-esque, and our talent had a American accent, which is something that obviously being in England we don't often work with, and for some reason just the American accent paired with the woodworking and the style of music we chose and just feels really cool. It's definitely like a nice portfolio piece. So yeah, super happy with that. It's just got a couple of minor tweaks to make before we send that to the client. Fingers crossed they love it, and then we can move on to the next set of drafts and obviously go into the sort of like finishing touches, because at this point in the process it's not color graded, and this one has a lot of opportunity for a really beautiful color grade. But also today we're kicking off 2 new projects on the post-production side. Obviously three projects. One of them being what we shot yesterday. I'm actually on that today, kicking that off. Max and Ben have also got individual projects that they're kicking off today as well. So full steam ahead at the moment. but it's good. It's very, very good. And while I'm here, how did I forget this? While I'm here, Sam and James are actually down in London filming some more recipe content for one of the clients that you guys have seen on this vlog a few times, which may or may not be our last shoot with them of this year. So sad, but awesome being on shoot, obviously. Good morning, it's Friday, and I am unbelievably tired this morning. Last night's sleep, I don't even know if I did sleep, it just sort of blinked by, and I woke up and I was like, I am absolutely shattered. But nevertheless, we're here, we're cold, as you can tell by me wearing this giant coat. I came in this morning and it said on the thermostat on the wall that it was 6 degrees in the office, and I was like, oh my god. So I've put the heating on. This week there seems to be some sort of like mad cold front. It's like -2 outside, and to be fair, it's beautiful. I love it from a visual perspective, like the frost, and there's actually a bit of snow last night, so there's a little bit of snow on the ground outside. It's lovely. I got in just before 7 this morning because we have a exciting delivery this morning. Something that I've been wanting for a long time, and it's not film equipment, it's an office upgrade. If you followed us, the Menace account, for a while, and you know back from when we moved into this office originally, I was really excited because I know it sounds stupid, but we bought our first fridge. And I was really excited about it. It was cool, you know. That fridge over the last couple of years has been okay. I think it's faulty because it was never able to get to a cold enough temperature. Our milk would always go off 2 days early or so. That was problem number 1. And problem number 2 was, as the team grew, that fridge was very small. And when we started cramming all of our lunches in there, it did get very full. As Black Friday sales have begun, we have purchased a new, bigger fridge. But not only that, now this is the exciting upgrade. We have got a dishwasher. Oh my god, you don't understand how much of an upgrade this actually is for us, because we hand wash everything at the moment. And the issue with the heating system in this building is that unless the heating's on, you don't get hot water. So whenever we're washing things, boiling the kettle, and it's just massively inconvenient. When you add it all up, the amount of time spent washing dishes every week, I would average it at between 2.5 to 3 hours across the team. When you add that up in terms of labor hours, it's kind of insane. Justifying the cost of a dishwasher, which is, you know, only a £200-300 or whatever, including the install, it just makes sense. I know there's running costs with a dishwasher, but that is far lower than the cost of all of that time that everyone spends washing dishes. And no one enjoys washing dishes anyway. Otherwise, in terms of today's sort of plan for me, it's a lot of spending time in the calendar today. We've had a large influx of work, which meant I needed to juggle the calendars quite aggressively on the build up to Christmas. But we've had some more jobs come in over the last couple of days I need to squeeze. One in particular that's a massive job. The timeline for that has shifted. It started originally with, we laid out the timeline, sent it to the client, and they fed back that they need a bit more time to give feedback. And the day before the feedback was due on that first part, they said that they weren't going to be able to meet that deadline and needed more time. It's 3 videos, 3 animated videos. And originally they all had individual timelines. And as there is no particular deadline, it will be easier to batch do everything. So the first draft for all 3, do all of those at once, send those off, give a large feedback window. That way there's less individual feedback windows and the client has a bit more space. But as I said, there's no deadline, so it is okay for the project to be spread out a bit further. And it's nice to have something ticking over in the background. So all good there. Aside from booking those, I'm now looking to the future, and we start every new year with the first couple of days where we all sit together and we review all of our processes and everything we've learned from the years prior. And every year we refine it just that bit extra, you know. We realize that why don't we have this, or can we template that so that it's more consistent across the team, you know, something, whatever it is, that is what we do. So my plan is to book in, as I call it, the 2025 kickoff, begin to create a little bit of an agenda for that day, what we're looking to achieve, what we want to discuss. But I'm also going to look at I have my Q4 for 2024 plan. We're going to look at that and review the progress on that and just make sure that we're on track. But I'm also now going to begin to think about Q1 of 2025. I think that Q1 of 2025 is going to be absolutely pivotal. The things that we're planning now are things that are going live now, but to be geared up to be at full capacity by the time we hit the start of January. So I'm trying to work on that. Ben and Max are still hard at work on post-production. Yesterday we sent off the first draft of the woodworking video that we shot last week. I'm absolutely chuffed with the first cut. I think that it's ticking the boxes for the look and feel that we're going for. Obviously now it's just with the client to kind of see if they're happy with the direction that we've got in, the messaging, the vibe, and hopefully from that we can then go into draft 2 and begin to develop a bit more of a finished product. Let's get into today. I'm going to begin digging into these calendars, and let's get this fridge and dishwasher because I'm excited. Whilst we have some time this morning waiting for the delivery to arrive, I want to address a comment that we had on a recent episode. I'll overlay the comment here. First of all, thank you so much for commenting and thank you for asking these questions. The first one is all about how I set up my business, and I guess I'll try and answer that as best I can. To be completely blunt, none of this was ever intentional. I was a freelancer for about 5 years, working in all sorts of industries, completely on my own, just doing my own thing. Then the pandemic hit, and oddly, unlike a lot of freelancers, and I'm very obviously fortunate to be able to say this, things got busy. They genuinely did. And at that point, I had a lot of other freelancers on the go helping us out with projects, and essentially it was time to make a decision. It was either start saying no to jobs, continue using a pool of freelancers, which had its benefits and its cons too. There was inconsistencies and issues that I needed to manage at the time, and it was difficult, you know, or grow. Now, I always said I wanted to work alone. I liked the way I was set up, you know, working from home, being my own boss and having that freedom and having no major responsibility from a perspective of I only have to pull in enough money to cover my bills, which is my, you know, mortgage, car, all of the normal things. When it came to think about it, and when it came to think about expanding and bringing on a member of staff, there's a lot of pressure with that. You're all of a sudden responsible for someone else, and you've got to make sure that there's money for them so they can provide for their family or partner or whatever it might be. But anyway, obviously, I went for it. I took the leap, and the first employee was indeed Ben. There was no real strategy or idea of how I would set this thing up. I like making videos. I like shooting videos, editing videos. I just need someone else to join who can help me do more of that. So that's kind of the approach I took. As we grew the team, I became much more of an owner dealing with those kind of tasks. I honestly don't know how to really answer the question of how we set it up. There was no, like I said, there's nothing intentional that happened. It was all very just going with it, and then it became the production machine that you see today. What I will say is everything has been experimental and based a lot on gut feeling. Most of the stuff I've ever learned is YouTube. I didn't even study videography. I studied IT. You You know, everything I've done through business, through creativity, has been purely off of my own curiosity and interest in this type of stuff. I never ever knew that I would be interested in the business side of business, and to be honest, there are still many parts of it that I thoroughly dislike and don't enjoy doing, but I have found a true passion for building a business, I suppose, and having a team and managing that. I genuinely love it. It's actually really rewarding and really fun. In the early days, so throughout my freelance career and probably the first 2 years of Menace as a company, we never did any advertising, but the main thing that grew us genuinely was word of mouth. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful. Just doing good work, genuinely, I think, is what has led us to where we are now. Obviously, there comes a point where word of mouth isn't fast enough for you to scale. So in the last year and a half or so, 2 years, we have invested more in lead generation, in marketing. We have an actual staff member dedicated to marketing, Hannah, and that has helped. That has helped accelerate our growth and improve us. The early days, the way that I built this company, I suppose, was purely word of mouth and bloody good work and working hard. You know, there are many of my clients that will tell you stories about how in the early days I would do stupid level of hours to ensure that something was done right. And that's just the passion that I carry, and that's the passion I try to inject into my team. It's not like I make silly promises that I can't commit to. It's about being willing to commit to something, even if it does mean gritting your teeth and pushing through to deliver the result. I hope this is kind of explaining it, but what I'm essentially saying is lots of hard and good work led to lots of good referrals, which led us to where we are now. The second part of the comment is about how we grew so quickly. Now, I want to just highlight the fact that Menace, back from its roots when I was a freelancer, has been around for just over 8 years now. I would argue, fridge and dishwasher have just arrived. I'm going to have to come back to this. Ollie, if it can go through here, that'd be really good. Yeah, I think there's anywhere there. Right, now where was I? Fridge and dishwasher have now arrived. Awesome news. Today we'll unpack the fridge, and then next week we've got someone coming to install the dishwasher. Anyway, yes, how did we grow so quickly? It has been an 8-year journey. It's not been a smooth road, and I'm not gonna say that I wouldn't describe it as rapid growth from a sense of, you know, we're drowning in work, we need to employ people. It was always relatively, it kind of just happened. A little bit like the whole fact that this company even happened, it kind of just happened. So the first employee was Ben. I wanted someone to come on and help me with the editing side. Ultimately, for every shoot day, you have 2 or 3 editing days. So there's always gonna be more work in the editing, post-production side of things. So I was like, right, let me get an editor on board. Following that came Max. Max is one of the best editors I've ever worked with. So fast, so creative, and the way his brain works is just incredible, and his attention to detail is just perfect. It's so good. Then came Dan, who is no longer with us, but that was the first time we'd recruited a videographer. And the reason for that was we began to take on larger projects that required multiple videographers on site. Dan was eventually replaced by Sam, who's still with us, and that was kind of the first 2 years or a year and a half. That was very quick, I'll admit. That to me felt quick. Then the next set of growth was James. Business started getting a bit more serious. I started to take a lot more time quoting and running the business and trying to think about, okay, how can we actually scale this thing, because it was going somewhere. And that's where I thought we need another videographer so that Sam and James can work together on projects whilst I can be the optional third videographer should I be needed, but I can spend most of my time working on the business rather than in it. I think that was a key point of really turning up the heat, if you know what I mean. Beyond that, I managed to bring on my partner Abby part-time. She deals with the admin, payroll, those sort of things for our business. And then lastly, Hannah is our most recent recruit who deals with our marketing. But yeah, to answer the question, how did we grow so quickly? My honest answer is I don't think we grew quick, I think we grew steady. It was all very natural, and it was at the point at which each person was required in order to get us to where we needed to be or to deliver to our clients' requests. The last part of the question was about what factors we use to choose our equipment and our project pricing. With the equipment, it's always based on our needs. You know, like any company that has any form of equipment, be that plant and machinery, or us with film equipment, you have to think about what it is you're doing with it and what the needs are. You know, with cameras, it is relatively simple. There are like multiple key players in the industry. A lot of people go with Sony, Canon, Red, and ultimately for us, we've settled on the Canons. Originally we were with Panasonic. Being totally honest, Panasonic have just not kept with the times. You know, Sony released their latest line of cinema cameras, Canon did the same thing, but Panasonic have just kind of left it with the previous generation. At the time, we did want to go with Sony, but there was a ginormous shortage on those cameras. Something to do with the chips or something. Again, it was all to do with COVID. We wanted to get an FX6, FX9, but the FX6 had a 1 year waiting list, and we could not wait a year. We needed to work now. So Canon it was, and thankfully we had a full suite of Canon lenses prior to that, so technically it was the cheaper of the two options as well. But in terms of other kit, you know, it's all about research. Me, Sam, and James, the film crew here, we all love camera equipment. We love playing with cameras. We love learning about cameras. We all watch a lot of YouTube about cameras. And ultimately, I think just being up to date with those things, so watching those YouTube videos, watching the reviews of the latest cameras, being aware of the space and what exists is what allows us to make informed and good decisions about the kit we should buy. You know, from everything from gimbals to drones, tripods, even light stands. You just do a bit of research just to find out what brands are good, reliable, going to last a long time. It's as simple as that, really. And ultimately, you know, what comes into these equations is the cost. You've got to look at every factor. What is it we need? Does it tick all the boxes? Is it in budget? There's not much else to it. It's just looking at what serves our needs best, you know. Canon this year came out with the C80 and C400, and we've got our eyes firmly set on getting those next year. They are sort of the next tier of upgrade that we need. And then our current Canon kit would become our B kit. The main benefit of the new stuff is the full frame and the triple base ISO, which will be very good for jobs where you don't particularly have massive control over the lighting. Yeah, that's how we go about choosing equipment. In terms of computers in the building and stuff like that, my background is IT. I've always built my own computers. I love building computers. And for us to spec the computers in this building always just came down to me. I just thought, right, what do I need? We need powerful computers that are going to last a long time, that serve our purpose, and they have to look cool. That's just my personal thing. But obviously, there's a little bit of research that goes into it when looking at perhaps the processor or the graphics card. You just have to do a bit of Googling about how that specific hardware works with the softwares that you're going to use. For us, obviously, that's the Creative Cloud Suite, Adobe, Cinema 4D, Blender, those types of things. I know a lot of the industry use a lot of Apple products. Personally, that's not my kind of thing. I like computers. I like Windows PCs, and I have used Macs in the past, but it's just not my preference. So when I set up my company, I decided we're going to be a Windows-based company. When it comes to pricing jobs, that's always a difficult conversation to have because every job has a different need, different requirement, different payment structure. But generally speaking, from the offset, when I was a freelancer and up until now, I've always maintained a relatively similar way of pricing things, which is based on day rates. You know, it's very standard for this industry to be basing your time, your equipment, all of those factors on a day rate. So that might be an 8 to 10 hour day for this amount of money. You might have a half day rate depending on what the job is. There was a saying that at least went around when I was early on, which was there's no such thing as a half day. If you can go to a shoot and get back within let's call it a 5 hour window, that to me is a half day because you still have the rest of your day to edit. If, for example, you're traveling to Bristol, which is 3 hours away for us, and you're only on site for let's say 4 hours filming, the client may ask if that can be a half day. But I often have to explain, no, not quite, because our team are going to be in the van for a further 6 hours of that day, which means they can't do anything else. They can't edit, they can't be on any other build work, meaning you have to hire them for the full day because they could be elsewhere working a full day rate. With editing, I do believe that a half day is much more achievable because ultimately you could edit for 4 hours, 5 hours, and then move on to the next edit. Some projects, especially on the larger end, it is easier to go with the value-based thing because you can easily quantify what the value would be to that client. When it comes to the middle end of the pack, which is where you find your more corporate level content, it's hard to define the value to a client of a case study video, especially if you're not marketing it. You know, a video is a tool and it's only as good as the marketing that pushes it. Videos do go viral and they can go viral for random reasons that are completely unplanned, but you can't fabricate that. It's important to me that the pricing is fair and transparent. So when we send quotes, you can see everything broken down line by line. Videographer 1, videographer 2, this many days, this is the travel, this is the expenses, this is the post-production, you got this motion graphics, you got these deliverables, and it's all like itemized and lined, and that gives the client complete transparency and the ability to look at it and go, okay, well maybe we've got a bit more money, how about we do a bit more here, or you know what, this is a bit too high, but we could take that off, we don't need that. If you go down that value-based route where you say, this video costs this, how do you then define that, how many days that's worth, or if this is going over budget? Hope that helps. Thank you for leaving a comment. It's nice to have a comment that gives me some content to talk about, and I hope that it gave you some sort of insight into the way we do things and the way that we've grown. And here we are at the end of our day and the end of our week, and I want to get that unboxed. It should hopefully fit just in that gap there, so it's not blocking too much or any of the window. Let's give it a go. Oh, strong boy. Oh, I keep getting electric shocks. Oh, look at that. That is literally perfect. My plan was for this to fit flush, and look at that. And there we have it. Nice new fridge is in position. Now I'm not gonna turn it on now, I'm gonna save that for next week. I don't know anything about fridges, but I feel like if I'm here, at least I can turn it on, get it up to temp. But more importantly, the old one, turning it off, I know it's gonna thaw out and I need to stick some towels in it or something. But anyway, that is the end of our week and the end of what has been, yeah, quite a roller coaster of a week really. Tough. We are thoroughly in the thick of things when it comes to post-production, and Max and Ben are right at the forefront of that right now, and they are pushing hard. New projects are in, booked, landed, and we now need to tackle those as well in the coming weeks. But yeah, overall, very, very good week. The chaps are now on their way back from London, and then they can finish their weeks as well. This week was a big experiment using this Osmo Pocket 3. Overall, my thoughts. So, number one, it's very, very, very easy to use. I do love the simple factor of just like getting it out, press the on button, press record, go. Everything's done for you. It's stabilized. The microphone is of good quality and nice and easy and simple, automatically connects. The face tracking thing is slightly weird and hard to get used to. I haven't looked, obviously because I'm filming this, I haven't looked back at the footage, so I don't know whether or not it's disorienting for it to do that, or if it's better to just be kind of floaty and normal. I guess like I'll change it now. So if I take off the face tracking, you can see it's a little bit more floaty. Maybe that's better, not sure. Overall, yeah, the user experience is nice. What I'm thinking about though is I've always loved and still love the raw and authentic feel that you get from vlogging with a mirrorless camera. And I'm beginning to feel like this camera here has a place in our arsenal. It's great for quick vlog capture, great for B-roll, great for just handing it to someone, saying, point it here, shoot, great. But I do feel like I still want to continue using the mirrorless camera as my primary vlogging camera. But that's my initial gut feeling. I know that I love that other approach, but it is cool. It's very cool, and I'm glad we have it because this will be fantastic going forward for our behind the scenes content as a company, but also for me vlogging whenever I need to do something quick, or for example, if the other camera isn't in need on a shoot somewhere, I've got this to rely on, which is super cool. One thing this camera is fantastic at, which we didn't get to experiment on massively this week, but I'm gonna use it going forward, is that car rig that you saw me use at the start of this vlog. I love that. I did watch that back, just on the back of the screen here, and I do love that. I think that's a really, really cool, really amazing feature where it's stabilized, it's easy to rig up in the car, the audio is good, and you can quickly flip it to get footage of the road ahead. Like, it's really good. I love that. My verdict is it will be staying in the fleet. It will be used in the vlog. It will be used in our company vlogs. I just think that I will combine it nicely with the mirrorless approach. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Ciao. That's way harder to do, by the way. Like, you don't want to, it's so small and delicate, and yeah. See you next week. We are off to a bad start. How did it get here?
That looks way nicer.
I'm in a well good mood. It's a bit sad